Hi, I'm artist. You're an artist. Have you ever wanted to study but didn't know what to study? Yeah, me too. So here are some recommendations for different types of art study for those moments. So before we begin, while I'm talking about art study, past me will be working on this piece over here in the background. And as always, it will be available as a wallpaper for August for the monthly wallpaper club. And you can join us here on YouTube membership or Ko-fi. Anyway, with that out of the way, let's start with the most simple form of art study, which is copying. And you can copy different things, but let's begin with something pretty popular, copying photos. Or a prettier name, which is photo study, and it is pretty straightforward. You just copy the photo reference one-to-one, and you can pretty much study anything you like, food stuff, non-food stuff, landscape, human, etc. So as you can see, it is something quite intuitive, and I think it is the first thing people think about when talking art study, and it kinda has the reputation of being simple and beginner friendly. And I agree that it is easy to understand, like the concept of it, literally just copying a photo and done. But it's not necessarily easy to do, and that's the tricky thing about this, because the level of difficulty directly corresponds to the reference itself. Like if you get a reference that is a lot more complicated than your current skill level, that will very likely lead to failure and a frustrating study session. So, picking an appropriate reference to your skill is kinda like halfway to success. So how can you do that? If you are a beginner at painting, I would recommend picking photos that you can see where the main light source comes from. And no matter what you want to study, you should pick one that you can easily identify where the main light is. Let's take a look at some examples to show you what I mean. So for the cloud photo over here, the light is coming from the right, and for the mushroom, it's coming from the left. For the croissant, the light is on the top right and maybe a little bit further to the back. And then a few more like this statue and this portrait, which for the portrait, the light source is placed right in front of the model. And one tip would be to look for the shadow to know where the light is. Like as you can see on the portrait, there is a sliver of shadow right behind her nose over here. And then her head also casts a shadow on the shoulder as well. So, scan the photo for the shadow, and that's how you could quickly locate the light placement. So that's how you pick your references. And don't worry, as you do more and more study and accumulating your experience alongside with that, you will have a hunch about which reference is within your skill level, which is above or below. And there is an argument that you should pick something pretty difficult to improve faster, but well, that is a discussion for another day. For now, that's pretty much it for the photo study, but we don't stop here. No. Copying something one-to-one is just the very baseline over here. Once you get comfortable with the copying, it's time to increase the difficulty, aka spicing up a little bit. And here there are two directions we can take things on. One is limiting and one is combining. And don't worry if that sounds too vague, I will explain this one by one. The first direction is limiting our tools, and there are a lot of ways that you can do this. Like you can limit the time you could paint, the amount of colors you could use, or the amount of brushes or layers or brush strokes even. Each one of these will have a slightly different benefits from each other, and here I will list some of the studies I usually do under this category alongside with their respective benefits. So the first one is limited color palette, in which you will copy a reference but using a limited amount of colors, like 3 or 4 or 5. And this one specifically targets the value area of your art skills, but in a more exciting way, because usually you do value study in grayscales, but now you can do that in colors. And I have made a video about this kind of study, so please check that out for some tips and tricks. The next one is 10-minute study, aka limiting your painting time, which as you might know, I do this a lot. And unlike the first one, which has more of a targeted effect, this one really puts your overall basic skills like shape, edge, value, colors, etc. to the test, because you have to paint the whole thing just like usual, but under a time limit, so you have to be quick and precise. And it's also a great choice for people who don't have a lot of time for art. And again, for more information, please visit this video over here. And that's it for the ones I usually do, but you can do a lot more, like for example starting something with a single brush, an unusual one at that, to make the spice level even higher. I don't do that a lot, but it can certainly be a very exciting experience. But anyway, that's the limiting part. Let's talk about the combining next. So what do we combine here? And its references. And there are different levels of difficulty here as well. Like the easy one could just be you changing one little thing you don't really like in the reference. Like for example, the color of one object, or changing the pattern of the tablecloth, like over here. Or adding in one little flower also counts. And the more things you change, the more things you add, the more reference you combine together, the harder it will be. Like as you can see, past me are changing and adding a lot of different things with today's painting. Like the main reference is the one with the mandolin, but I don't really like those, so I changed them to roll cakes. So I had to find some reference for that. And then for the cakes themselves, I also don't like how plain the reference is, so I find some cream and a piece of chocolate to put on top of them, so on and so forth. That's the reason why the amount of references just grows and grows, and the level of difficulty also increases accordingly as well. Yeah. So for this kind of study, I think it is more suitable for someone who is nearer to the intermediate level of art skills, as it does require some basic level of understanding of light, color, value, and perspective, etc. to put all the different references together without them looking out of place. But I'm not saying a beginner shouldn't give this a try. Well, maybe a completely beginner really shouldn't, as it could be quite discouraging and stuff. But if you have been practicing art for some time already, please try combining your reference. You can tailor the difficulty to your liking by adjusting the amount of references you use. Like you can start out with just 2 of them, But yeah, please give it a try. It will help you improve a lot. Anyway, that is already quite a lot of different ways to do art study, so before moving on, here's a little graph to summarize everything we have been talking about already. So take a look at it and we will go to the next session. Okay, still on the copying type of study, but this time it's not photos, it's other people's art. And a more formal name would be master study. And traditionally, it's like studying very old masterworks. But in today's video, I think we should expand this definition to any other artist whose works that you enjoy, old or modern. Anyone is fine, as long as you enjoy their works. The purpose of this study is to learn and analyze why you enjoy the art so much, because sometimes we just know that we like something, but don't exactly know what makes us love this particular painting so much. Sometimes it's the techniques, sometimes it's the theme of the painting, and unfortunately, if it's the latter one, then you may have some self-introspection to do, and I don't think anyone can help you with that, sorry. But fortunately, if it's the former one, okay, the technical side thing, there is a much clearer route for you to take, and that is trying to recreate that painting yourself. You can go in totally blind if you feel adventurous, but nowadays a lot of artists do put out tutorials on how to do what they do, so stalking their pages could help a lot, or better yet, they stream. Watching them do their craft in real time is like one of the best ways to crack the code, kind of. Or if you are into older masters, I think there are classes on how to break down their techniques, or even videos on YouTube. I'm actually not too sure about this, by the way, so please fact check me on that. Anyway, admittedly, this is something I don't really do a lot nowadays, and it's mainly out of fear of messing up. Like if I didn't do a good job, it almost feels like disrespecting in a way. or blasphemy even, depending on how much I like the art. But to be honest, I don't think I should be that way. And I'm not used to be like this. Like back then when I just started, I had a lot more audacity than this, and I think it is something I need to build back up. Yeah. But anyway, this is a master study I did of one of Ken Curry's sketches, I think. And for this one, I didn't really copy one-to-one because I changed the red liquid to blue. And why did I say it like that? Because after the last video performing not very well, I am kinda scared of YouTube right now. Like, I don't know if saying the actual word can affect the algorithm somehow. I don't know, so I'm scared. Like, oh my gosh, I'm truly an adult now. Like, I don't have a spine anymore. Anyway, coming back to the blue liquid, the reason why I changed that, because one, I do really like the idea of blue liquid. It's kind of unusual, you know. And second, past me also kind of fear the YouTube algorithm flagging this as raw and stuff, the same way I am now. But actually, the liquid is not that important here, because by doing this study, I discovered one of the reasons why I like Ken Curry's work so much is because of this subtle glow of smoke effect around the subject in his paintings. Like, it's very subtle, but it adds such a dreamy haziness to the whole painting that I love so freaking much. And I respect his skills even more after this, because I had quite some difficulty trying to blend the smoke out, and I was doing that digitally, like where you do have a lot of advantages for blending colors. Like, truly much respect for his skill. His smoke looks so good. Like, oh my god. Anyway, here's another example with a watercolor master study I did years ago, and it was a landscape piece by Ganesh Hai, and I follow the video on his channel. And there was actually two versions of them, like the study. And I will see if I could find the first one, because this is where I learned the hard way that paper truly does matter a lot with watercolor. Like, a lot. Like, there are some watercolor techniques that you literally are not able to do if you use the wrong kind of paper. And well, it's not that you totally couldn't use those kind of paper with watercolor. It's more like they won't behave the same way as the online tutorial you have been watching. If you know what to expect, what to look out for, you can use watercolor on them just fine. But when you are a beginner, you don't really know any of that. So let's just try to find some goodish and cheap watercolor paper to practice with, I guess. Yeah. Anyway, that's it for the copying style of study. Next, let's talk about pop, or painting over photo study. Thanks Momo Minomo for the name, by the way. So this is a study where you take a photo that you like and then you paint over it with whatever pops out into your head when you see it. And the goal here is to make what you add in look as natural as possible, as if it's a part of the surrounding environment. It could be a face in the cloud, some fish in the sky, like literally anything that you could think of. And guess what? I did a whole video introducing this type of study, so for more information, you can watch it after this one. But I will highlight the benefits here and also giving some examples. So first, benefits. There are three, and the first one is the technical side of things, which is kinda similar to the combining reference study, because this does require you to learn how light, color, value, etc. works in order to blend your own addition seamlessly into the pre-existing photos. So, all good stuff. But I think the even better stuff lies in the way that this study really pushes the creative boundary of your brain. Like, this study will make you connect some dots that are not usually connected, and that's kinda how you practice your creative muscle, And the last benefit, maybe the best in my opinion, is the fun, because you never know where this study will take you to. Like, think about it like some kind of daydreaming session, where you look up at the sky and see all kind of funny shapes, But a little bit more productive than that, because you do produce a painting after the session, so that's good. And here are some examples. The first one started out as a cloud photos, but I saw a face in there, so I painted that in. And then for some reasons, this face turned into a clown's face. Then I got so into it that I even sketched out a little concept for them as well. See, you never know what will happen with this stuff. And next, this series of Polaroid, which originally was some hazy cityscapes, but I thought the sky would look really good with some marine animal floating in there, so I put them in. Jellyfish, shark, and octopus. The octopus one is a tiny bit more fun than everyone else because there is a little fourth wall break in there too. And I also learned a lot about using the blur filter with these pieces, like not only Gaussian blur, but also motion blur too. I know, very fancy stuff. So yeah, this study is very fun to do, so please definitely give it a try. And anyway, I think that's pretty much it for all the different types of study I usually do. Let's take a look at this painting before we do the outro, shall we? So that's all the types of art study I usually do. Hopefully you could find some useful ideas from these. Anyway, don't forget about the August wallpaper. And that's it for now. Thanks a lot for watching and supporting me. Hope you have a great day / night ahead and see you later.